Hey, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Men of Integrity. My name is Cody Thrash, and we're going to be talking about pornography statistics today. That's going to be our topic. If you hear, I'm going to be flipping through some pages. I want to tell you about this document. I'm going to link this document in my podcast, in my show notes somewhere. But what this is, it's called Porn Stats. 250 facts, quotes, and statistics about pornography use. And this was actually published in 2018 by a company called Covenant Eyes. Now, Covenant Eyes is a blocking site, a filtering site, a company who provides screen accountability and filter service and all of those things for your phones, for your computers, and tablets and things of that nature. The awesome part about it is the fact that you can set up within the app an accountability partner, and that accountability partner will receive emails if you falter, if you fail and head towards one of those websites, start typing in one of those things. Your partner will be notified, and they can call you or they can do whatever you've set up for each other to be accountable to each other. Accountability is a huge thing, and it's going to be one of the main themes of this podcast is continuing accountability. But today I wanted to talk about statistics. When I started studying this about a year ago, beginning to really dive into overcoming pornography for myself, I started looking into statistics. Because the first thing that one of my friends told me is, "You're not alone, man." And I want you all to know that you're not alone. And the statistics really help us to understand that we really are not alone. I'm going to talk about certain things as I look through this document. I'm going to kind of read out some of the things that stand out to me. And all of it's important. And maybe, again, once you get the chance, maybe download the document and look through it yourself. But Let me. This is just some of these numbers are staggering. It really hurts. So a company called WebRoot Cybersecurity, which monitors web use, they say that 28,258 users are watching pornography every second, and $3,075.64 is spent on pornography every second on the internet. Now, this is in 2018, so these numbers could have changed a little bit, and I recently searched, and they haven't posted a new document yet, but I'm hoping that they will soon. I want to see the change from 2018 to 2020. I really feel like there's going to be a major jump in these statistics. Let's talk about this. This is interesting. Tanya Burleson, she was formerly known as Jersey Jackson. She says this, quote, "Guys are punching you in the face. You get ripped. Your insides can come out of you. It's never ending. You're viewed as an object, not as a human with a spirit. The actresses do drugs because they can't deal with the way they're being treated." You know, I mentioned that in the first episode. You know, we never see the bad things, the bad side of pornography. We always see the perfect, the airbrushed bodies, the cleanliness. We never see the things that go wrong when somebody's being treated like this. There's a survey from 177 porn actresses. They first began having sex at an average age of 15 years old, some even earlier, obviously, because of the average. The average number of partners for a porn actress is 74. This is interesting that the number of these actresses who are concerned about catching an STD is only 8%. Most, 79% to be exact, have used marijuana, 39% hallucinogens, 50% on ecstasy, 44% have used cocaine, 27% methamphetamine, and the drugs go on and on. In 2010, there was a study that went out. It was 304 pornographic scenes, and they discovered that 88 0.2% of them contained aggression. And so us men, from young men forward, we are being trained that sex is supposed to be aggressive and mean, and the women only like it if you're being rough on them, and that's just generally not true. But that's the way pornography is changing our mind and our whole outlook on sex. What was once a biblical thing between one man and one woman, something where two people really care about each other and really, really want to make sure that each other is pleased and pleasured. Now it is all about one or the other. It's all about, hey, how can you please me? You do whatever it takes to please me. Let me do whatever I want to you to ensure that I'm pleased. And and it just doesn't work like that in real life. This one was somewhat interesting to me. It says the most popular category of sexual searches was youth. Because the reality is, and I've talked to a number of people, even men who are older, they're still attracted to that young, perfect, virgin teen. And so no matter how old you are, that's a search that most are going to search for. Now there's cliche, there's niches and all the different things, the searches that people fall themselves into, but the majority of people are going to search the term youth or teen or young or something like that. It blows my mind. Here's some numbers. Here's some actual numbers of people who are using porn on a once a month basis. 79% of 18 to 30 year olds. 67% of 31 to 49 year olds, and 49% of 50 to 68 years old. This is a monthly use. The numbers only drop slightly from monthly to weekly use. It's not even worth me reading. And again, you probably should just get this document for yourself, because I'm not really trying to read all the statistics. I'm just trying to give you an overview. Weekly usage, though, is still at 63% between young men 18 to 30. The numbers from married to unmarried men doesn't really change that much. It's kind of sad. You'd think, and most young people think this. They have a problem with pornography, or they justify it when they're single, especially Christian men. Even, I mean, no man is. Remember that scripture? All temptation is common. Okay, so most young men think, well, they'll just deal with this while they're single, and when they get married, all of their pornography issues will go away because their wife is going to be able to just do everything for them. Well, what happens is they find out very quickly that that's not true, and it's not because of the lack in their wife. That has nothing to do with it. Their wife is doing everything that she can, and she's probably quite godly. But the fact of the matter is the man has the problem. He's conditioned to desire pornography. 90% of teens and 96% of young adults are either encouraging or accepting or neutral when they talk about porn with their friends. See, before I got in church, the friends that I surrounded myself with were friends that would almost... I had one friend that hung out with a good bit, and you just go to his house and pornography was just playing on the TV. It was just there, like it was a channel, like a football game or something else. In a normal home, that was what he had on. He was so open with it. Hey, let's watch porn. Anytime we had a party, anytime we did anything, that's what he did. And nobody ever thought nobody thought anything wrong of it. I mean, it was just, and some were a little bit reserved about it, I'm sure. But as far as that was normal. So a majority of people are, at the very minimum, they're neutral about it. Here's a large number. Men are 543% more likely to look at pornography than females. Those out of those men, 60%, 61% who are happily married are less likely to look at porn. But here's the deal. Happy marriage doesn't really make sure, it doesn't ensure that somebody's not going to look at pornography. It does help. Those who have ever committed adultery are 218% more likely to look at porn. Those who have paid for sex are 270% more likely to look at porn. Here's a good thing. And again, this kind of goes back to that youth search, but those with teen children are 45% less likely to look at porn. Something happens in a man when he has a daughter that's the age of the porn actresses that he's been looking, or at least the age that they're portrayed. Most of them are all of legal age, but some of them, because of the way they look, the youth, and the way they portray them in such a young fashion. And that's terrible. It really is. The average visitor to a pornographic website spends 6.5 minutes per visit. I'm not going to say anything else about that. So here's some statistics about smartphone ownership. If you own a smartphone and you're a millennial, the statistics say that 9 out of 10 of you are dealing with pornography. I'm not saying addicted. I'm not saying that you have an uncontrolled problem. I'm saying that 9 out of 10 millennials with a smartphone view pornography on a monthly or weekly basis. That number is staggering. 85% of the Gen Xers who ages 38 to 53, 85% of them, if they have a smartphone, they're dealing with pornography on a monthly basis. 67% of baby boomers, these are ages 54 to 72, so still over half at the ages of 54 to 72, if they have a smartphone, they're dealing with pornography. 30% of ages 73 to 90. 73 to 90, and pornography is still a problem for those with a smartphone. What do we do about this? Well, I believe that one of the first things we do is to realize that we want to be healed from this, that we want to overcome it, and then we need to seek out accountability. I'm going to talk about accountability a good bit more, but as we go along. 63% of adult men have looked at pornography at least one time while at work in the last 3 months. And 38% have done so more than once. And if you look at this document, I'm going to just point this out. If you look at this document, there's a lot of statistics about women as well. But this isn't about women. I'm not trying to be sexist or misogynistic or whatever. If a woman's listening, I'm not trying to not include you, but this is directed towards men. I want to direct it towards the male side, and that's just what we're doing. That's just the way we're doing it. Here's some statistics specific to churchgoers, to Christians. This is a survey by the Barna Group in 2016, and it says that 41% of practicing Christian boys ages 13 to 24 use porn at least once a month. 23% of practicing Christian men, 25 plus, use porn at least once a month. Regular church attendance, it really cuts down on the statistic. I mean, we're taking that number almost in half. So if you remember, just the general population was in the 80-79% range, and Christian people, Christian young men, are at the 41 and 23% range. So going to church does drastically improve the number. That's a great thing to know, because church is working. The fact of being accountable to your church body, to your pastor, to your deacons, it's effective in helping men deal with pornography. But this is what this says, those self-identified, excuse me, as fundamentalists, they're 91% more likely to look at porn. This is scary, because what this is saying is the ones who are walking around with all the fundamentals covered, they look like Christians, they act like Christians, they're doing all the things that they think Christians should do. It says that they are 91% more likely to view pornography. I wonder why that is. 64% of self-identified Christian men and 15% of self-identified Christian women view pornography at least once a month. So this is the first few numbers. We're talking about the ones who consistently go to church. And now these numbers are talking about the ones who people, they identify themselves as Christians, but they don't go to church as often. Maybe they visit a couple times a month or whatever. The difference is the people who the ones who go to church basically every time the doors are open to the ones who visit occasionally. The numbers are staggering. So remember, it says for the ones who visit church on a regular basis, who are a part of their church per se, maybe they're in the choir and they do the things that the church has for them. The number is 41%. For ones who just identify, but maybe don't go to church as often, the number is 64%. So this is the fun of statistics. Statistics prove themselves, and they prove points. So our family, our preachers, the pastors that we've sat under, anybody who's ever read their Bible consistently will tell you that you must go to church, that church is a necessity for you. They've told you, they've quoted scriptures to you like, forsake not the assembling of yourselves. They've told you stories about how in the book of Acts, the church got together daily. They went from house to house, preaching and teaching. And Paul says, I've come to your house and I've left you nothing. I've kept nothing from you. I've given every bit of the information I have for you. I've taught you. These people got together and assembled, and they fellowshipped. They broke bread on a regular basis, and in doing that, they became accountable to each other. The accountability that they had in those environments was increased by the fact that they knew each other better. Right? So the church, it's not supposed to be just a group of people that you see on Sunday, and then you know nothing about them the rest of the week. That is the environment that is set up for the devil to creep in and for sin to creep in between those people. Because the life that they live is separate from Sunday, right? Well, the biblical church, the most beneficial church, look at it how you want, but the most beneficial church is the church that doesn't just go to church on Sunday. There's still a church on Monday, right? They still might get together with a small group on Monday. And they have midweek church and midweek prayer on Tuesday or Wednesday. And then maybe there's a specific Bible study for men that you might attend. There's a lot of things that go into the church. And it's important because it helps with accountability. The number proves itself. The statistics proves itself. The Christian boys who attend, or Christian young men who attend church on a regular basis, is 41%, and the ones who just identify but do not attend regularly, it's 64%. That's staggering. Let's talk about some pastors. And so the reason I want to mention pastors here is because the pastor is the one that's not supposed to view pornography, right? And nobody would ever assume that their pastor does. But temptation is common to man, right? So it says here, the survey conducted, 1 in 5 youth pastors and 1 in 7 senior pastors use porn on a regular basis and are currently struggling. I think they've defined regular basis as monthly use, as a monthly use. And again, you may define it differently, and however you do, that's up to you. But basically, I would define regular use as monthly to weekly. Monthly is regular, weekly's on the verge of a problem, because what it's showing is a habitual relapse, and that's dangerous. We're going to talk about relapses in the future as well. 43% of senior pastors and youth pastors say that they have struggled with pornography in the past. That's understandable. They weren't always a pastor. They weren't always... See, everybody who struggled... Let me back up. Everybody who struggled with pornography, whether they're a pastor or a lay minister in the church, or they're a saint on the pew, or they are a visiting Christian, or they're not a Christian at all. Every person who's ever dealt with pornography is either, obviously they're either dealing with it now, or they've overcame it somehow. They've overcame it by reading, by studying, by getting accountability, whatever way they've done it. But that number's not, it's not staggering. Pastors weren't always pastors, and we can't assume that pastors don't deal with this. And really don't look down on them anymore, because we're all equal in the eyes of the Lord. The pastor has more responsibility for his people, yes, but as far as when it comes to salvation, we all have the same. We're all measured by the same book, by the same rule, right? So the number's really not that much different. It's pretty interesting. I would like for you all to look at this document. There's so much I really can't, nor do I want to talk about it all on a podcast, because it's so many topics. I might go in the future and really break down some of the topics. In a future episode, we're going to talk about pornography and erectile dysfunction. And the deal is in the 90s per se, the erectile dysfunction number was rather low. Now, pornography was still available, but it was much less widely available. And so let's look at a number. In 2000, this is before the installation of the home computer and at home internet. It was available, but it wasn't available to the masses at this point. So in 2000, erectile dysfunction was around 13%, and this is for men 18 to 40. That number it jumped up a good bit. So it says in 2015, the same age men, now the number has jumped to 71% have had or do have sexual dysfunctions. So from 13% to 71% in about 15 years. It's a drastic number. And it correlates with the fact that all of a sudden, out of nowhere, pornography became so readily available with the home computer, and now even more so with our cell phones and our devices. We've talked about that a little bit in episode 1, but it's available at your very whim. All you got to do is sneak away for, the statistics says about 6 minutes. So, what are we going to do? What are we going to do about it? Well, first and foremost, I want you to get this document. I'm going to link it. I'm going to put the link. I want you to look into Covenant Eyes. I really like this program. I have this on my phone, and I'm not necessarily trying to brag at this point, but I haven't dealt with pornography in over a year. But when I started teaching this course, and when I started thinking about doing this podcast, how would I, as a person, advocate for something such as Covenant Eyes, like a program like this, if I'm not using it? And so I decided to get it, and I've got it on my phone, I've got it on my tablets and my home computer. Not because I'm so scared of pornography right now, but where would I be? Where might I be in 6 months? Where might I be whenever more bills are due than I have money, and stress becomes overwhelming, and my wife and I have an argument on the very same day, and my vehicle's broken down, and I find myself in a moment of overwhelming stress? Where will I be then? Regardless of if I've been clean a year or 2 years or 10 years or a month. A scenario like that is, well, it's pretty clear, man. We all know that that's a failure point, right? And so we have to limit the power that that has over us whenever we find ourselves in those points. So I've gotten covenant eyes. I put it on my phone. It's not even really a hindrance to me at this point. It just hides in the background. It sends my accountability partner a weekly update on my phone. Says, hey, well, this is what he was doing. Sends some screenshots. And lately, for the last, I don't even think my Covenant Eyes has ever even taken a screenshot of my phone. I haven't done anything that would warrant that. But I'm thankful that it's there, because I know that my friend can see every aspect of my phone. And this was funny too. Yesterday I was searching, when I was preparing for this, I was on my phone, and I was away from the house, so I was getting ready to, I wanted to start preparing, so I go to Google and I just type in porn statistics. And it wouldn't let me go to it. You know, it filtered, it blocked me from going to that website because I would type in the word porn. And I would have had to go in there and cancel. I mean, and that's somewhat inconvenient. But also, I was so happy that the fact I was really not searching pornography. I was searching for some statistics on it, and that program helped me. It blocked, it protected me. My friend and I, my accountability partner, we still talk to each other on a regular basis. He calls me daily. I call him daily. One of the two, if he don't call me on a day, I'm going to call him, and it works both ways. And we're not always talking about pornography. It's not like, hey, have you looked at porn today? No, man, what about you? It's not even that. It's more so that just having a friend that I can talk to, that sometimes I am having a bad day. And I'm not really worried about pornography per se, but I want to call him and talk to him about the things that's bothering me. I want to call him and talk to him about, the struggles in my business. And so I found that those type of confessions really helps in the time when later that afternoon I might be alone for an hour or so. And I don't have to find myself struggling in the ways that I have in the past. I think I'm going to close it out with that. I think you need to look into Covenant Eyes. And I'm not saying use Covenant Eyes. I don't know if that's the company for you. I don't know if that's the program for you. But if you are struggling with pornography, it would help to find some sort of filtering on your phone and to set up some sort of accountability. It will really benefit you. It just makes things a little bit harder. And again, we've talked about that a little bit, but pornography is so detrimental because it's a hidden sin. Nobody can see it, right? I hid it for years. I don't know if anybody ever knew that I looked at pornography. It's a hidden sin. And those who are good at hiding it, who are smart and, intelligent, know how to hide it and know how to do it without ever getting caught. And so that's what's dangerous about it. When you set up accountability, it's not about getting caught anymore. It's about the fact that your friend can see your phone. He can see everything you do. In the moment you begin to search it, well, he gets a notification. And then that person would call you. And he might bust you out on it. You might have to get mad and upset at him, but the fact of the matter is you didn't look at pornography. That was that's might have been your first time that you've ever been able to not look at pornography. And now you're on a path. Now you're blazing a new trail. And it's the most wonderful thing you could do. Liberty and freedom from pornography is the most amazing thing. I love being a Christian. I love my church. I love all the things that we do. I love the fact that I'm saved and that I have hope in Jesus Christ. But for a time, I fought the hidden sin of pornography. I fought constantly feeling sorry for myself, per se. I went to the altar to pray week after week after week, seeking repentance, seeking the Lord, asking God to help me, asking God to take this away from me. And He does it. Because God is not going to take away your manhood. He's not going to take from you the desires which He put in you. He created you to be a man. He created you to be visual and to have sexual desires for your spouse and And he created the institute of marriage so that you could fulfill those needs. But because of the world and because of the devil and all the things that he's done, the whole process has been perverted. So I think I'm going to close out with that. I really appreciate you listening. If you've enjoyed this, if this has helped you, please give us a follow on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube and all of the platforms which you might use. As of right now, this podcast is going to be is uploaded to Spotify and Apple and Anchor and a couple of other places for your listening. If you enjoy this, please give a good review. And if you'd like to speak with me personally, just send me a private message on any of the social medias, or you can give me an email at menofintegrityms@gmail.com. Again, thanks so much for listening, and be sure to tune in next week for next week's episode.